I feel really honoured and privileged to be here at the Guardian. I'm so looking forward. Most of the contributors of the book are going to be here tonight as well for the first time, so that's really exciting. Writing a book could perhaps be considered, quite a self-indulgent thing. I mean, I hope I wrote this book for the greater good, but I think when other people read it and give you their impressions of your book, then that's what really matters.
I've been asked to kick this off and introduce the lady herself, which I shall be doing in a moment, but first I have to tell you a bit about her. Of course, we're here to launch her book, Life After Encephalitis, which some of you have been involved in, some people will know. She can take something that is medical, is technical, is mysterious perhaps, and dark and terrifying, and make it accessible. She brings it alive and she makes it relevant. That is her greatest gift to us, in some ways, I feel, to the society and to the battle against the disease.
Tonight's, I think, a pretty unique event, that the centre of it is survivor stories rather than professional stories.
I really wish that I had had that book by my bedside when I was a kid and I was ill. There's medical advice, there's clinicians' advice, but for me the thing that really resonates is the personal stories.
The stories within the book are moving and explain the huge impact that encephalitis can have on people's lives.
Reading literature in the last year, especially the Brain on Fire book and this, if I'd seen either of these two books 2 years ago, or even if family or friends had seen it, they would have looked at it and gone, that's what he's got, that's the problem. But they didn't. They just saw these psychological issues and symptoms and just put me in that sort of box, that category. But there was another explanation.
As a parent, from the day that child was born, you've done everything you can, and then all of a sudden this thing comes along, and to hear everyone else saying the same things, it's actually really powerful.
Tiggy's story about Johnny who died, I just reread that now and that resonated with me because it made me think of my mum, because my mum looked after me through that. I was disbelieved for more than a year, and it is that kind of incredible, special relationship that you will never have again.
There's something about Tiggy's that really just got me going completely, and it's so nice that people are so open about their experiences, because it's so unknown and we need to spread the awareness, and I think people can connect through a story but can't necessarily connect through facts and figures.
So now we're going to hear from Thomas. Do you want to come and sit with me?
I was 21 months old when Mum was affected by encephalitis.
There's a bit that I love that doesn't really resonate with me, but it's the lovely lad Thomas who looks after his mum. He gives advice to the professionals. He was 13 at the time, and he says professionals were really well-meaning and they wanted to look after me, but if I had to tell them anything, I'd say you don't need to patronise me, you don't need to ask me how I am all the time. I love that kind of sense of maturity beyond the years.
It was quite nerve-wracking, but I found it really comfortable just to be able to share my story with other people.
I work a lot with kids whose parents have got various kinds of brain injury. So I was introduced to Thomas by Ava, and we were introduced by email, and tonight was the first time we've got to meet face to face. It's been a privilege to meet Thomas and his mum and to hear how they've been coping with a really difficult situation.
When I was a child, I also had encephalitis, and I was off school for 3 years, and I was kind of living in the dark for 2 years. I think one of the things that's most powerful about the book for all of you here, either people who've suffered from encephalitis or people who've helped people through encephalitis or people who are bereaved through encephalitis, is how resonant all the stories are. And so I just want to pay tribute to you, Ava, and say it's been beautifully put together.
Just earlier this week, the Lancet Neurology released their review on the book, which I was highly anxious about and very excited about. But of course it came through and I could not have been happier.
I mainly work in the NHS. There's a kind of saying in brain injury, if you've seen one brain injury, you've seen one brain injury. It's not like the other conditions. Everybody's story is different, everybody's situation is different, and so to, I think, bear witness to people's particular struggles, people's particular strengths is really important, because I think it instills hope for those people at a different stage of the journey.
I'm pleased for the survivors, I'm pleased for the family members, and I'm pleased for those people that have been left bereaved by this condition, because that's what the book was about. And I think having their experiences validated by people who are nothing to do with me, nothing to do with the society, I think that's incredible. It's incredible for them, it's incredible for us.
Who do you most want to read this book? And what would be, if I could come back in a year's time, what would be the if the impact it could have on people, what would you most want it to have in terms of impact?
Well, I think one of the things that we're constantly striving towards at this society is it would be a great start if more people knew the word. One of our primary objectives is to get encephalitis as well known as meningitis. Encephalitis has a higher incidence than motor neurone disease and bacterial meningitis, but nobody's heard of it. So if it goes some way towards that, along with our other work, then that will be a job well done.
The thing I love about the Encephalitis Society is that we're so close to the members, and the members are so close to us, and there is kind of a real rapport. And we joke about it, that Ava jokes with me that every time we put you on for an event you end up in tears, and that's the thing about encephalitis, is something so close and emotional and then pathetic. And it's great to have people, and it is that kind of illness where it doesn't just affect the person who's suffering. It's an illness, it's a very generous illness. It's one for the whole family. And the great thing about being able to come somewhere like here is to share stories and see, again, you're not alone. And also to get a bit of wine and even maybe a crisp.